Okay. So the first questions, which biological catalyst lowers the activation energy of a reaction?
The enzyme?
Enzymes, because you know the protein and all the enzymes are protein, and this enzymes lowers the activation energy of a reaction. So remember, this is the protein because the enzymes are protein. Good. Which of the following group is synthesized from monosaccharides like glucose?
Carbohydrates.
Carbohydrate?
Carbohydrates, correct. Carbohydrates. So the carbohydrates is the macromolecules, and carbohydrates is an organic molecules. We discussed in the class the organic molecules which are bonded with carbon and hydrogen. So the organic molecules are carbohydrate, lipids, and protein and nucleic acid. And the carbohydrates contains the monosaccharides like glucose. Which statement best describes the enzyme function? Because enzymes are protein.
Is it C?
Yes, enzyme speed the chemical reaction by lowering activation energy. You know, the most challenging part in the chemical reaction is activation energy. So when we add the enzymes in chemical reaction, that lowers the activation energy and they speed up the chemical reaction. The monomer of carbohydrate is, what is monomer? First you say the monomer that I discussed yesterday. Monomer means, what is monomer? The monomer and polymer. What is monomer and what is polymer? Any of you can answer these questions? Monomer that I discussed yesterday.
Is
Monomer
it like
means,
a simple like subunit?
yes, single subunit. Mono means one, single subunit, and the polymer means,
Many.
yes, many subunit. That means large polymer. Then large molecules or many subunits. So the monomer is the simple subunits. So the monomer of carbohydrate is which one?
Is it the monosaccharide?
Monosaccharides. Yes, monosaccharides. Now try to answer. So what about fatty acid? Fatty acid is the monomer of lipid. Monomer of lipid. Amino acid. Amino acid is the monomer of protein. Protein. And the nucleotide is the monomer of
Is that DNA?
DNA and RNA. So these are the monomeric. Monomer of lipid is fatty acid. Monomer of protein, amino acid. Monomer of nucleic acid is nucleotide. And monomer of carbohydrates are monosaccharide. Uh, which of the following molecules stores genetic information?
D?
Yes, deoxyribonucleic acid. So the deoxyribonucleic acid, also called, what is deoxyribonucleic acid? Is the DNA.
DNA.
DNA. Good. Deoxyribonucleic acid. So that is the DNA. And the DNA stores a genetic information. Good. Select the simplest sugar.
Glucose?
Glucose. Now, we learn the classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrate is classified as a monosaccharide. Monosaccharide is the simplest sugar. For example, the glucose is a monosaccharide. And the disaccharide means it's double sugar. But sucrose and lactose is the disaccharide. Lactose we obtain from milk. Milk carbohydrate is lactose. And the sucrose is the sugar, cane sugar. And the many monosaccharides to form the polysaccharide. So example of polysaccharide is the starch. So starch is the polysaccharide. So we obtained starch from rice. So the correct answer is glucose, is the simplest sugar. Now the glucose and fructose are joined through dehydration synthesis to produce.
Is it B?
Yes, the sucrose, correct. So the sucrose is a disaccharide, and it's an when we split the sucrose, it's from the glucose and fructose. So glucose and fructose join through dehydration synthesis to produce sucrose. We discussed yesterday what is dehydration synthesis. Which of the following monomers for enzymes? You know, this type of tricky questions you'll find in these exams, especially questions number 8. Which of the following? Yes.
Fructose?
Can you repeat? Again.
Glucose and fructose?
No. Number 8. Which of the following?
Is it C?
Is it C?
Okay. Okay. Please listen. What is enzyme? Enzymes are protein. Enzymes are protein. Now, can you answer? Which of the following monomers?
B, amino acids.
Amino acid. Yep. Because all the enzymes are protein, so amino acids are the monomer of enzymes. Is it clear? Amino acid is the monomer. Glucose and fructose is the carbohydrate. Fatty acids for lipid and nucleotides for DNA and RNA. So the following monomers for enzymes or proteins is amino acids. So what is the building block of lipid?
Fatty acid.
The fatty acid. Good. Fatty acid is the building block of lipid. A fatty acid that contains no double bond.
Saturated.
Yes. So the fatty acid can be classified according to their carbon bonding. So there is some fatty acids have double bond, is considered as an unsaturated fatty acids, and some such fatty acids do not have any double bond, considered saturated fatty acids. So the no double bond is saturated fatty acids. The main structural component of cell membrane is?
Phospholipids.
Correct. The phospholipid bilayer. The main structural component of cell membrane is the phospholipid bilayer. Which of the following foods contain mostly lipids?
Oil.
Yes, correct. This is mostly lipid is oil. So what about potatoes?
Starch.
Carbohydrate. What about chicken? Protein. And lettuce. And the lettuce also contains some carbohydrate, protein, and some minerals, vitamins. Good. Amino acids are the monomer of
Protein.
Protein. So if these questions, amino acids are the monomer of, if the questions is enzymes, it's also correct because all enzymes are protein. What type of polar covalent bonds linked amino acid?
Is it C?
Is a peptide bond. Very good. It's a peptide bond. So between amino acid is formed the peptide bond. Peptide bond. Okay. Now, what makes the RNA a unique nucleic acid? That I discussed yesterday. If you can let me open the document. You just
C.
Okay, now let me. What is your answers? C. Yeah, correct. The uracil. You know the uracil is the nitrogenous base. If you can see the lectures, this is the difference between DNA and RNA. You can see the RNA and the DNA, the difference that. So the RNA is a single strand. You can see the structure of RNA. This is the structure of RNA. You can see here. This is the RNA, the single strand, and the structure of DNA is a double strand. You can see the double strand. The sugar in RNA is a ribose sugar. This is the ribose having 5 carbon. And sugar in the DNA, this is the sugar, is the deoxyribose. Now the nitrogenous base, you can see AUCG. These are the nitrogenous base. In the RNA, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. And nitrogenous base in the DNA is adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. You can see the thymine in DNA and uracil in RNA. And hydrogen bonding between A and T in the DNA, you can see a universal rule, A and C and G. You can see the 3 hydrogen bond and 2 hydrogen bond. So the correct answer is C. DNA RNA contains nitrogenous base known as uracil. Okay, now let's RNA is built from building blocks known as nucleotide. This is also correct, but because the DNA and RNA, the building blocks of DNA and RNA is nucleotide. RNA contains a sugar known as deoxyribose. This is incorrect because the RNA contains sugar is ribose sugar. RNA is composed of 2 strands. It is incorrect because the DNA composed of 2 strands, not RNA. So the correct answer, RNA contains nitrogenous base known as uracil. Now the carbohydrates are macromolecules that can be divided into 3 main types. Name the types of carbohydrate.
Is it B?
But the glycerol is not carbohydrate.
You have sugar, starch,
Is
and
it
protein.
A?
And size D.
D.
Monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide.
D. Correct. So the monosaccharide. So monosaccharide, for example, is the glucose is a monosaccharide. The disaccharide, for example, lactose, and polysaccharide is a starch. So if you can see the slides that I posted, so you can see the classification of carbohydrate, the monosaccharide, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. So monosaccharides, simple sugar like glucose, fructose, galactose, ribose. Disaccharide, it is sucrose and lactose, and polysaccharide like glycogen and starch. Good. Okay. So which pyrimidine base is only found in RNA?
Is it
Only,
B?
yes, uracil. So uracil that is only present into RNA, not in the DNA. So this is one important differences between DNA and RNA. Which of these make up a macromolecule of fat?
You have A, 1 glycerol.
No.
Is it C?
Okay, now what is fat? Let me show you that I discussed.
Lipid.
You can see here, this is the fat. This is the fat. The fat also called,
Fatty
what is the
acid.
what is the clinical, what is the chemical name of fat? Triglycerides. Triglyceride consists of glycerol and how many fatty acids?
3.
3. So you can see 3 fatty acids and glycerol. So this is the fat. So the correct answer is 1 glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acid molecules. So that is the fat. Okay. Number D, can you name this chemical? Number D, this one. Can you name this chemical? 1 glycerol molecule, 1 phosphate molecule, and 2 fatty acid. What is the name of the compound, organic compound? 1 glycerol molecule, 1 phosphate, and 2 fatty acid, which form the structure of cell membrane.
Disulfide.
Structure of cell membrane. 1 glycerol, 1 phosphate, and 2 fatty acid. Okay, look. So 1 glycerol, 2 fatty acid, and 1 phosphate. So this molecule is called, what is the name of this molecule?
Phospholipids.
Phospholipid. So this is the phospholipid, have phosphate and glycerol and 2 fatty acids. Now you can see the difference between fat and phospholipid. The fat has 3 fatty acids and the phospholipid has 2 fatty acids. And in addition, phospholipid has phosphate group. You can see this is the phosphate group. So this is your phospholipid. Okay. But the correct answer is glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acid. Which of the following would most likely qualify as macromolecules? Select all that apply. Macromolecule. Macro means large molecules.
You have DNA.
Okay. DNA is a macromolecule. Then
You have protein.
protein is a macromolecule. Then
Is it all of the above?
yes, all of the above. Okay, let me show you why this is. The protein is a macromolecule because protein is an monomer of amino acid linked together to form protein. So that is a macromolecule. The DNA and RNA are nucleic acid. That is a macromolecule. Now, what is cellulose? What is cellulose?
The skin.
What is cellulose?
The cell.
Cellulose. Structural carbohydrate. You know, this is structural carbohydrate in plants.
Polysaccharide.
Is a polysaccharide. Structural carbohydrate means it's a polysaccharide in plants. So human not digest the cellulose. And the cellulose we also call the dietary fibers. You know the dietary fibers? The dietary fibers means cellulose. So which is a polysaccharide. So there's also macromolecules. So all of the above. So the protein, nucleic acid, and the cellulose is a carbohydrate. That is a polysaccharide. So these are macromolecules. Which of the following is not a carbohydrate?
You have sucrose.
C.
Is the glycine. So what is glycine? What is glycine?
Is it amino acid?
Yes, glycine is amino acid. Good. So the glycine is amino acid. Let me write it here. For example, glucose is an monosaccharide, right? What about sucrose?
Is carbohydrate?
Sucrose is the disaccharide, it's a carbohydrate.
Disaccharide.
And what about glycogen? Glycogen and cellulose. These are polysaccharide. So you can see here the glucose, monosaccharide, sucrose disaccharide, glycogen, and cellulose polysaccharide. So the glycine is an amino acid. Okay. Now, number 21, the proteins, which are tremendously complex molecule, used as their basic units or building blocks of,
Amino acids?
yes, amino acid. So amino acid is an monomeric unit of protein. Monomer means it's a single unit. If you can see my PowerPoint slide that I uploaded, the first slide, you'll see this is the monomer. Monomer is a simple unit or single unit. So protein amino acid is a monomer and protein is a polymer. The fatty acid is a monomer and lipid is polymer. The sugar is monomer, simple sugar like monosaccharide, and the carbohydrate is the polymer. And the nucleotides are monomer and DNA and RNA are polymer. So monomer means single units and polymer means large subunits or many monomers linked together to form polymer. So the monomeric unit of protein is amino acid.
Acid.
Good. Now the saturated fats. So which of the following is correct for saturated fat?
Associated with heart disease.
Which one?
D.
Saturated fat are associated with heart disease is correct. Then
Is it B?
yes, saturated fat have no double bonds between carbon atoms and are associated with heart disease, increased risk of heart disease. Let's see the slide. The fatty acids are two different types. You can see the saturated fatty acids. There is no double bond between carbon-carbon, and unsaturated fatty acids have one or many double bonds between carbon atoms. Saturated fatty acids, mostly from animal fat like butter, and unsaturated fatty acids from plants like olive oil. Saturated fatty acids solid. You can see the butter is a solid at room temperature, but unsaturated fatty acid is liquid at room temperature. And the saturated fatty acid increase risk of heart disease, but unsaturated fatty acids are healthiest. We discussed yesterday. So this is the difference between saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. So the correct answer is here. Sorry. So associated with heart disease and have no double bonds. The lipid that make up your cell membrane are called
Is it D?
Is it D?
D, phospholipid bilayer. So the phospholipid bilayer is the major structural components. Phospholipid bilayer, and that is that make up the cell membrane is phospholipid bilayer. Uh, what category of biological macromolecules contain fats?
Lipids
Lipids. So lipids
contain fat.
contains the fat, and fat-like substances are called lipids. What are the blood lipids? What are the lipids? Name the lipids. What are the lipids? What are the lipids? Include the fat,
Fat, yes.
We have
the
Fat,
fatty
wax.
fat, the phospholipid, cholesterol, steroids. These all are lipids. So the fats, phospholipids, cholesterol, steroids, these all are lipids. Okay. Uh, which of the following organ system is correctly paired with function? Please read and try to answer the questions.
The D.
Yes. Endocrine system, regulation of homeostasis through hormone signaling. So can you explain why A is incorrect? Integumentary system. What is the functions of integumentary system?
It's like a protection.
Protection.
For
The
protection.
protection, correct. Integumentary system includes the skin with associated structure, the protection, the synthesis of vitamin D, regulation of body temperature through sweating, so and sensation. So these are the functions of integumentary system. Uh, why B is incorrect? What is the functions of cardiovascular system?
It's
Blood
pumping
circulation.
blood.
Yes, that means the pumps blood and carry blood to all over the body. And what about gastrointestinal system? What are the functions of gastrointestinal system?
It's for
Food
digestion.
Digestion
digestion
and
of food.
absorption. Digestion and absorption. Good. Uh, this,
Absorption.
yeah. Which of the following correctly describes anatomical position that we discussed on last week?
C.
Yes, correct.
I would
The
say A.
up C, not A. You know why? The upright position, standing upright positions, arms at the side and palms facing anteriorly. So A is incorrect. Prone position is not the correct position. So upright position, arms at sides and palms facing anteriorly. Anterior means
Front.
front.
To the front.
Front view.
Yes, front. Good. Uh, which of the following is the correct order of structure from simple to most complex that we discussed last week? Week 1. Which of the following is the correct order of structure from simple to most complex? This question is also tricky, but these questions I found from in the TEAS exams. Which of the following is the correct order of structures from simple to most complex?
Would that be B?
B.
B. Okay. Now let me explain. Then I'll not give the answer now. Just let me explain. These questions, if you can see, the simple to complex. So the first organelle, and then group of many organelles to form cells, and many cell to form.
Molecule.
No. Organ
Organs.
Organ
and
system.
many organ to form organ. I'm sorry, organ
Organ.
system.
Organ.
and many organ systems to form organism. Now look, the mitochondria is a
Organelle.
mitochondria is an organelle. Clear? Now, if you can see the example of cell is the neuron. You know, the neuron is a cell with a nerve cell. Neuron also called the nerve cell. And then I think organ is missing here. There's no organ. Yep, no organ. And
tissue.
yes, then the group of cells to form the tissue. I think it should be tissue. So what are the tissues? The nervous tissue, right? So this is the simple to complex. Now, can you answer? Which of the following is correct order?
A.
Yes, mitochondria. Mitochondria is the organelle. Then many organelles to form neurons, that is the cell, and a group of cells to form tissue like nerve tissue, and two or different types of tissue to form organ is the brain. So A is the correct answer. Is it clear? Is it clear, these questions?
It is. It is.
Yes.
So this is the way you can explain organelle, cell, tissue, organ system, and the organisms. Tissue, then organ, I'm sorry, then organ, and then organ system. Okay. Which of the following is correctly describe the formation of new cell in order to replace the worn out and damaged cell during injury that we discussed in week one?
Mitosis.
Mitosis. Correct. So the mitosis is a cell division and which is important for growth and development and the repairing process. Good. Which of the following organ system is not correctly paired with its function? Not correctly paired.
A.
B.
Not correctly.
A.
Yes. Yes. So the digestives provide defense against infectious disease. Okay, so digestive systems provide, what are the functions of digestive systems? Helps in digestion, absorption. Which of the following cell organelles is correctly paired with its function?
Is it B?
Yes. The ribosome helps in protein synthesis. What is the function of mitochondria?
Energy.
Energy to produce ATP. What is the function of nucleus?
Stores genetic information.
Stores of genetic information. And what is the function of lysosomes? Lysosome. Intracellular digestion. That means lysosome kills the pathogens. So the correct answer is the ribosomes and protein synthesis. Okay, the DNA is a polymer of
Is it D?
the nucleotides. The nucleotides. Good. Is the polymer of nucleotide. So nucleotide is a monomer and the DNA is a polymer. The RNA contains the sugar.
B.
Yes, correct. Is in ribose sugar.
Ribosome.
And what about deoxyribose? Deoxyribose.
That's DNA.
Yes, correct. DNA contains the
DNA
sugar,
contains the sugar.
deoxyribose sugar. That is DNA. But RNA contains the ribose sugar. Good. So, which of these bonds would we see between nitrogenous bases?
Is it A, hydrogen bond?
Yes, correct.
Yes,
Hydrogen.
correct. Hydrogen.
We discussed yesterday that you can see here the hydrogen bonding between nitrogenous base, adenine and thymine, and cytosine and the guanine. These are the hydrogen bonds. Which of the following is the most accurate description of the link between chromosome and DNA?
Is it C? Is it C?
See, chromosomes are
See,
the building block. No,
chromosomes are the building block. No.
Is it A?
Is it B?
Is it B?
C is the correct answer. Chromosome include the numerous genes, each of which is made up of a DNA. Now, if you can recall yesterday, I discussed the relationship between DNA. So what is DNA? DNA is an okay. Deoxyribose ribonucleic acid, and DNA is a double strand helical structure and composed of purine, pyrimidine bases and phosphates. And what is gene? It is segment of DNA that produce protein. That is gene. So segment of DNA that produces protein. Then what is chromatin? DNA with histone. You know what is histone? Histone is a DNA binding protein. Histone is a protein. So DNA with protein is from the chromatin. And what is chromosome? What is chromosome?
It's like the 46.
Condensation of chromatin. Condensation of chromatin to form chromosome. So this is the relationship. DNA is the double-strand helical structure. The segment of DNA that produce protein is gene. The chromatin is the DNA binds with protein is from the chromatin, and chromosome is the condensation of chromatin is the chromosome. So the correct answer, chromosome includes the numerous gene, which is made up of DNA sequence. Which of this is not a lipid?
Protein.
Yes, protein.
Yes, protein.
You know, the fats, oils, and waxes, these are lipid. Okay. Now the questions, which of this statement best describes this molecule? Look the molecule. There's two molecules, 1 and 2. This is 1 and 2. There is
Both
two.
fatty acids?
Yes, both fatty acids. So can you find the correct answer?
A?
They are, but no, best describes.
No,
I'm
best
asking.
describes. I'm asking.
It
Your
says
point.
the top one is saturated fatty acid. And
So
the
this is
lower
the
is
So this is the correct.
yeah.
D is the correct answer
D is the
because
correct answer because
the top one is saturated fatty acid because there is no double bond. You can see there is no double bond between carbon-carbon. So this is saturated. And the lower one is polyunsaturated. Poly means more than one. You can see the more than one double bond. If I zoom in,
Unsaturated.
you can see here, this is the unsaturated fatty acid because no double bond. And this is polyunsaturated fatty acids have more than one double bonds. So the correct answer is your. So this is the D is the correct answer. Top one is saturated fatty acids, and the lower one is polyunsaturated fatty acids. How are the carbohydrate used by the body? Choose all answers that apply.
Storage.
Okay, storage. Then
Structure. Communication.
yes, a structure also helps in communication
Storage, recognition,
and recognition. All are the correct. Yes,
recognition,
like
communication.
yes,
Yeah.
like glycolipids and glycoproteins. These are recognition. Glycogen is the storage carbohydrate, and some form the structures and also helps in communications. So all the corrects, all are corrects. Uh, which organ and glands are superior to the liver?
Would that be the spleen?
Superior to the liver. Please read the questions and answer. Superior means above.
Kidneys,
Kidney is posterior.
Lungs.
Lungs is superior. Good. And
B.
parathyroid gland. The parathyroid gland around the neck. So the liver is within abdominal cavity. So lungs and parathyroid glands are superior to the liver. Okay. Which of the following is the carbohydrate monomer?
C,
C. Monosaccharide.
semi-splitted C,
Okay. What is disaccharide? Can you give an example of disaccharide?
You have
Example,
sucrose and lactose.
sucrose and lactose. So lactose is disaccharide. And what is thiamine?
hormone,
It's a nitrogenous base
Is the
present in
nitrogenous base present
the
in
DNA. You can see here, thiamine is a nitrogenous base in the DNA. This is thiamine. So this is nitrogenous base in the DNA. So hydrophobic proteins often provide which function in the body? Okay, first you say, what is hydrophobic?
water
Germ of
fearing
water.
molecules.
Yes,
Fear
the
of
what?
water.
Yes, abnormal fear of water. That means water, what?
And
Water
dissolve
hate,
in water.
water
The
insoluble or
hate in
what?
water
Yeah,
layer.
Protein.
yes. So hydrophobic proteins often provide which function in the body? If you attend yesterday, please try to answer. Okay, you can read the questions. I mean, in my PowerPoint slide, then try to answer. Proteins. So the two basic types of proteins, the fibrous protein, which is hydrophobic, means not soluble in water, and the fibrous protein like keratin into the skin and collagen, and they are the structural molecules. And the globular proteins are hydrophilic and they
Soluble
function
in
as
water.
enzymes, hormones, and signal transfer. So the two types, the fibrous and globular protein. Now try to find the answers. Hydrophobic proteins is the fibrous protein.
It's B, provide structure.
Yes, provide
Enzyme.
a structure. And these
Structure.
are the globular protein. Acts as an enzymes, carry oxygen molecules, and stores energy. So hydrophobic and hydrophilic proteins. Uh, What cavities are in the ventral cavity of the human body? That we discussed week 1.
Thoracic.
The ventral means
Abdomen central. It's the abdomen
yes.
cavity.
Front.
Okay, no,
AB,
in the
B.
front. Thoracic is
B.
okay. Abdominal cavity is okay. And
Cranial is okay.
Pelvic.
pelvic cavity.
Pelvic cavity.
So the cranial cavity, the dorsal
In
cavity.
the back. In the back.
In the back. So the ventral cavities are thoracic cavity, abdominal cavity, and pelvic cavity. I think there's the so any questions, please? Any questions?